मातृभ्यो नमः। ओम पितृभ्यो नमः। ओम गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम अतिथिदेवेभ्यो नमः. As always, first offer prayers to my parents, my guru, and also to all of you, my guests. Welcome to KP's Story Time. It's again Wednesday. During this time, we are learning about Rama by going through his biography written by Valmiki, because Rama is the most perfect human being and he has shown us how to live. That's why we are discussing his qualities. So last week we have discussed about Vali fighting with Sugriva. Vali is the elder brother of Sugriva, and they both fought. At that time, Rama killed Vali with an arrow. Today, it will be a very serious topic, because if we put ourselves in that situation and then understand the various dynamics of the incident, then we know how we should react to anything that happens to us in our life. Vali has a golden necklace. If he wears that, he cannot be beaten by anyone. He'll be always winner. And so he knows he can win anyone. When Sugriva invited him to fight, he was very confident. So he came out and he fought so many wars, and every time he was winning. So it was he is the winner always. On the other side, Tara heard about Rama and Lakshmana joining Sugriva. So she knows that something is going on and that may be dangerous to Vali. She stopped Vali. She tried to stop Vali, but he did not listen him. Vali was fighting Sugriva. He did not expect Rama to kill him from the back. So it was a surprise to him. He fell down. Vali's friends and family, they came to know, all his supporters came to know that Vali was killed. They never thought that Vali will be killed because they know his power. If that is the case, everyone was in a shock. Let us understand everyone's thinking from each individual perspective. But before that, Vali himself was so surprised, and he was accusing Rama of the incident. In our personal life also, if something happens to us, if some harm happens to us, immediately we accuse someone. It is because of that person it happened. We don't even think about what was that I did that I am getting this peace. Similarly, Vali was so furious, and then as soon as he saw Rama, he started accusing him with very harsh words. To a certain extent, he said, Rama, I heard a lot about you. I heard that you are a very principled person and you are a great king, Dasharatha's son, and you have all these 16 qualities, but you are a fraud. This is totally unacceptable. And then he starts giving all the knowledge that he has. He says a king is supposed to take care of the good people, and he should be punishing the bad people, and he should be kind to anyone. Here, nope. And then if any harm has happened to you or to your family, you can come back and punish that person. I have never entered Ayodhya. I've never seen you. I've never met your people. I've never harmed any one of your people. So what right do you have to kill me? That's first thing. Secondly, kings can fight for gold, wealth, for the territory, all of that. I live in this forest. It has nothing to do with your Ayodhya. And I'm not encroaching any of your territory. And you don't need my territory because it's all forest. What will you do with forest? So there is no need for you to fight with me. And finally, I am not a human being either. And my skin is not useful. A deer's skin is useful because people can sit on it. Any other animal can be eaten. But a monkey is not fit to be eaten. So he's looking at what is that reason that you can justify that you killed me. How can you face any person going forward and then say, yes, I've been righteous always. I've killed Wali righteously. And even he talks, so this one, let me just refer to my notes here so that I don't miss any issues, anything that Wali has said. And then he says, I heard about Dasaratha also. Dasaratha is such a great king. And for such a great king, how can you be a son? Are you not ashamed of calling yourself as his son? I understand that you needed Sugriva's help to search Sita. If you had come directly to me, I would have just brought Ravana by his head, by his neck, and found Sita anywhere in this world and got her to you within no time. That means you have not even judged the right person to make friendship with. What kind of an individual are you? How can you be a king going forward? And after me, Sugriva becoming a king is right, because he is my younger brother, and after I die, he can take the kingdom. That's okay with me. But the way you killed me is not right at all. It goes in the history. And then he says, I'm not worried about dying, because everyone has to die one day or the other. And I'm okay to die. But the way I'm dying is not right. So now Rama, and then he says, if you still think that you are right, please answer my questions. Please respond to whatever I am saying. He is on the deathbed. He has his opinions, and he is asking Rama to explain. Even when we are in a comfortable position, when we are a little bit discomfortable position, will we care to ask the person about that? We will never have that open communication. Most of the issues come because of non-existence of open communication. From this question, from Wali's questioning, what we have to learn is when he wanted to get the clarification for his understanding, we are also due for any explanation. So always, if you have an opinion, if you have an misunderstanding, it could be misunderstanding or understanding. You may be right, you may be wrong, whatever it is. But it is always, you have to give an option to the other person to respond. Don't make a unilateral decision. Here, Wali could have just said, Rama, you're a fraud. That's it. He does not even need to ask the question. But still, he said, Rama, if you still think that you are a right person and you think that you have done a right thing by killing me like this, in this format? Please respond. Also, he said, anyone who came in front of me can never win. If you had come in front of me and fought with me from the front, I would have killed you long time back. Within no time, I could have killed you. But you had killed me from the back. It's like current day's missile. And you have not even told me. It is totally unethical to kill someone from the back when he or she is fighting another person. Or if that person is sleeping. Or if that person is drunken. Or he just had sex. These are the times when no one should kill. Or if he does not have any weapon with him. But what happened? You killed me. I was not fighting. I was fighting with another person. And I was not looking at you. Still you killed me. So these are all the reasons why I think that you are bad. So if we are in the Vali's position, we would have thought the same way. But we would not have asked Rama whether he is right. What is his explanation? Because we know, we always say, I know. That guy is wrong. That guy has harmed me. But from this incident, what we have to understand is always, if someone has done something, there is a reason. That person must be having a reason to do that. And if that person was thinking that it was not right, why would that person do? A small kid may be going into the mud because he does not know that mud is not good. He should not be playing in the mud. But after he learns that, he would not do that. Similarly, any one of us in this world, if we are doing something that the other person thinks is wrong, we need to get an opportunity to explain. Similarly, if we think that way about someone, we have to give that person an option to explain. That's what Vali has done. He is very right in that manner. Then Rama went to Vali and then he said, you are a very good person. You are questioning me, but you have not consulted any wise person. And whatever knowledge you have, by that knowledge you are judging me. Which means he is giving a hint that whenever we think something is wrong, we better talk to someone who is more elevated than us in the knowledge. Not to the person who is reporting to you or who cannot say against you or who does not have the knowledge to really analyze the situation. Or just don't analyze it from your own perspective. If you think from your own perspective it is wrong, maybe your perspective is wrong. So what you need to do is you have to talk to someone who is more knowledgeable than you. So he says, you are a monkey. And monkey is always, does not have any stability. And your brain also does not have stability. And with that kind of a mind, you are thinking and you are judging me. Next, whoever you consult, they are all either equal to you or less knowledgeable than you. So that means Rama is also saying that when you are surrounded by people, make sure that you have wiser people than you. If you walk into a room and you think that everyone there is an idiot, that means you are in a wrong room. Go to another room where you think that you are looking like an idiot. then only you can learn things. You can learn things from people who are better than you. So if you are in a room where you think you know the most, or most of the time we think the same way, I will be in the room where I'm comfortable because I know better than all these guys. If that is the case, you are wasting your time because you're not learning anything there. Better go into another room where people know more than yourself. That's what Rama is also indicating here. Be surrounded by more wise people than you. But so far you have not done that. Always you are thinking you are the supreme. And you are surrounded by people who say yes to everything. Now, I'll tell you why I killed you. Because you asked me the question. Rama could have just arrogantly said, get lost, anyway you are dying. Why should I give you any explanation? So, when someone earlier I was saying, give an opportunity for the other person to explain. When you think the other person is wrong. At the same time, if someone asks you for an explanation, don't shrug. You have to give the explanation. And maybe the other person, we don't know. Here Rama is very elevated person. So he is right. But in our general life, it is not so. I do not know everything. So if there is an argument, we have to argue in an objective manner to see, is there anything I can learn from this? Am I at mistake? Instead, we always think that we know everything. That other guy is of no use. So that's what Rama is also establishing. Then he said, I will give you explanation. This entire land belongs to Ikshvaku. That is his forefather. He said, this entire land is ruled by my family. Bharata is ruling Ayodhya, and from there he is...
Someone followed. Don't worry about that. If you want to just put the computer on mute.
What happened?
Someone followed.
Okay. Okay. So he said, Bharata is the king and he is most able king. And I am a representative of Bharata, and I have come out to the forest to make sure that the entire rest of the land is going on smoothly and people are safe. So that means the land in which you are there, which the country that you think is yours, is still part of our kingdom. And if anything goes wrong, we have to take care of it. So that means I'm representing the king, Bharata. And now you may ask, if that is the case, who are you to punish me? First of all, even now I will establish the reason why you should be punished. First, why I can punish you. I told you, I'm the representative of the king. Now, you only said that king should be punishing the wrong people. And now I will tell you why you are wrong. He says, Guru, elder brother, and father, if they are principled, if they are right people, they should be treated as father. Elder brother, own father, and guru. Again, if they have any flaws, there is a caveat in it. But if they do not have any flaws and they go live according to the law, then they all should be treated as father. Similarly, son, younger brother, and the student. Again, if they are the right people, they all should be treated as son. Son's wife or younger brother's wife is like your daughter. Your first problem is you have taken over, you have pushed Sugriva from your kingdom, and you have taken over and you started enjoying with his wife when he was alive. Look at all these words. So when Sugriva is not alive, if Sugriva was dead, fine, you can give her another life. That is okay. But here, Sugriva is alive and he is your younger brother who is in the right path also, which means his wife is like daughter to you, and you pushed him out, took the right, and you started living with her, you started enjoying her. That is the sin in Dharma Shastra. That means in the law, one can be killed for that sin. So, I established why I can punish you, why you should be punished. Right? Now, the third thing you asked me is why I have killed you from the back. You yourself said you are an animal. You are an animal. King can, what do you say? I'm blanking on that word. Hunt. Yeah, a king can hunt wild animals, especially when they are harming other people. And the king can kill an animal when the animal is fighting with someone else or running away, even afraid and running away. If it is a human being and that human being is running, one should not kill. Whatever you said is right. If a human being does not have a weapon with him, or fighting with someone else, or just had sex, or he was drunk, you're right. Well, that person should not be killed. Whereas you are not a human being. You are an animal and who can be hunted. And for hunting, the rules are that animal may be fighting with someone else, or running away afraid, or just sitting somewhere, or totally totally unaware of the surroundings. Still, a king can hunt. And that's why I hunted you from the back. Look at how Rama has explained it. That means he thought all of that. And also, Sugriva, he said, I told Sugriva that whoever has put you to the misery, I will punish that person. That's one piece. And then, why king has to punish? Why king has the power to punish? That also Rama explains here. Imagine, I have taken $1 million from someone as a loan at 12% per annum interest, and I have not repaid it to that person for 10 years. What happens? At the end of the 10th year, I have to pay him more than double. If it is a 12% interest, that money will be doubling every 6 years. So that means I'm almost due to give that person $3 million at the end of the 10 years. Even if I have not paid it for 20 years, it will be just doubling every 6 years. So 1 million becomes 2 millions after 6 months. 6 years. 12th year, it will become 4. 18th year, it will become 8. So my debt to that person will be increasing with the time. Similarly, the sin also. If a person has committed sin, if he is punished immediately, the punishment will be very less. But if the punishment is delayed, then you have interest accrued on that. So the punishment will be even more severe. To relieve a person from the sin, that person should be punished. And that punishment should also be perfectly due to that punishment. I mean, to that sin the person has done. If we are talking about in, say, pounds, let's say one person has committed a sin of 1 pound. The punishment can be a pound or a little more than that, but cannot be 10 pounds. So the magnitude of the punishment given to the sin should be right. So if the king does not give that punishment equally, that entire sin goes to Rama, to king. That's why kings are supposed to be very principled, and they have to know how much punishment is due and when is it due. Now coming down, now there are no kings. So justice, the court, all these, when they are conferred with the power to punish someone for the sin, they have to do it so that that person who has committed the sin will be relieved of it and will be having a better life. Similarly, if that punishment was not correctly given, that sin will fall onto the person who is supposed to punish. So if Rama has not punished Vali, even after he knows about Vali, he would have to take that sin. So he says, I'm not ready to take that. As a king's representative, I have to punish you. Now coming down to anyone within our power, let's say our kids, any living being under our control has committed a sin. If we punish them right then and there in the right manner, they will not carry that sin forward. A lot of people believe in reincarnation, a lot of people do not believe in reincarnation. They think this is the only life we have. Let's narrow it down. What if we all know that tomorrow is the doomsday? What happens? There will be riots, there will be rapes, there will not be any law and order, because they know they are not going to be there next day. Whatever they can do, whatever they want to enjoy, they have only 24 hours. So even law enforcing authority will also be not caring about it. They will be taking care of themselves. They will be trying to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. This world has law and order because we believe that we will be living for a longer period. Whether we save money or whether we live in a principled manner or whatever it is. Because today if I commit a sin, if I murder someone, if police find me, they will jail me for rest of my life. So I may be living for 30 years, I may be living for 40 years. I don't want to be in the jail for 40 years, so I will not commit a sin. But if I knew that tomorrow is the doomsday, will I be worried about anything? Similarly, we are saying that this is not one life. You have multiple lives. Whatever you do this life, and if you are not getting back all that, you are carrying it forward to the next incarnation. You know how many kids are born at the same time around the world? Lot of kids, but one kid is born in the poorest family, the other kid is born in the richest family. Why is it so? Why not they change? Why not everyone is at the same stage? Why not all the kids be community kids? And so whether it's king's kid or poor person's kid, we have to collect all of them and bring it to one place and then say, you all will have the same life standard, living standards. We don't do that. Which means the soul that has taken birth in a poor family has to go through that entire poor experience. The person who goes through the rich, who is born to the rich family, will enjoy all of those things. Did that soul did anything? That kid has done anything to deserve that? No. That means that soul has some baggage from the previous incarnation, and so he started enjoying them right from the birth onwards. And if we have the fear that there is another incarnation and whatever we are doing now, we will be getting back in this life or it will be carried forward to the next life, then only we will have law and order and we will be principled people. So Rama said, by punishing you now itself, I relieved you from all your sins, and you are going about, you will have a better life going forward. You will have better incarnation next time. So it is in your own good I punished you. So now Wali says, I'm extremely sorry for questioning you. Now I understand that I'm totally, my knowledge was not full. And then he says, he agrees that whatever punishment you have given me is the right punishment. And thank you for giving me this punishment so that I can be relieved of all the sins I have done. Similarly, when something happens to us in our life, we always accuse someone. Instead, we look at it, I could have done something wrong and I'm getting the punishment for that. That's a different feeling altogether. Your blood pressure will be totally under control. The moment you think someone else has done it, your BP will be going out of the roof. Who are you doing the favor by thinking that this is a repercussion of something I have done which I forgotten? If I took $10,000 from you yesterday and I forgot, I lost my memory, today you came to me, you saw $10,000 in my hand, you asked me, I have not given you because I forgot everything, but you remembered it, you snatched it from my hand and you took away. From your side, you have the memory, you knew it was your money, you took it off. But from my side, I forgot that I have taken $10,000 from you, and today I'm looking at it as that guy is a thief. He took away my money. Instead, if something happened to me this day, and if I remember within this life, if I have done something, and if I can correlate to that, oh, that day I have troubled that person. So this is happening here. If not, if I cannot get that explanation, I would think that maybe it was previous incarnation I have done something and I am getting it with accumulated interest. So it is always better to repay right away so that accumulated interest is not there on the principle. Similarly, if we have committed a sin, it is better to accept it and then say, I have to be punished. Take the punishment right then and there. The punishment, the magnitude of the punishment will be very less. That's what Rama said. I have punished you to reduce the magnitude of your sin punishment, and I made sure that your next incarnation will be good. You don't carry this baggage, and these are all the rights with which I have the right to punish you, and you are due for the punishment for these reasons, and I have done a favor to you. Once you understand this entire concept, we will not blame anyone in our life. I can tell you two examples in my own life. One day, I was at a party. There were 16 items. I was putting them all in my plate. Prakash was in Navy, and that was a long weekend. He lost his wallet. He did not have anything to eat. It was on Sunday. He called me. He said, Dad, I have nothing to eat. I'm very hungry, and I have no one to help me here. The canteen has been closed, and this is because it is a long weekend. The entire campus is vacant. No one is here. Typical parent reaction would be put that plate that he or she was eating and say, oh, my son is hungry there. He's not able to eat anything. How can I eat here? Start crying out that, and then make a huge scene in that entire place. And now because I'm not eating, my friends also will say, oh man, we can't eat. There is that entire happiness, that happy moment is all gone. Instead, my reaction was, I told Prakash, you might have eaten food in some point of your life without offering to another person who was very hungry. Imagine if I am sitting to eat here, suddenly someone comes and he expresses his hunger. It becomes my responsibility to share my food with that other person. If I don't do that, that's a sin. And that's what I was explaining to him, that you might have done that in some point of your life this time or in your previous incarnation. And today you are taking the punishment for that. So, let's take it that way. Secondly, now I am praying whatever good things I have done. I have fed so many people in my life too. So I am praying God to transfer some of that goodness, use that goodness and feed you. So I said, go stand on the street. Anyone you see, just explain to them the situation and take their address, ask them for $20, go eat food. When the banks are open, get the $20 and give that person right away. Immediately Prakash said, Dad, you're not understanding. This campus is totally vacant. No civilian enters this place. I said, it is my belief in my karma. When with my wholeheartedness, when I am ready to sacrifice the goodness that I accumulated for you to get you food, it will happen. Go stand on the street. He went, stood. 10 minutes later, Prakash called me and then said, Dad, from somewhere, some person came. He has not even asked me any questions. He has not even, he said, I don't need to give you any, my address, you don't need to repay me. Thank you for your services. Here are $20. Take it. I said, $20 you take from that person. So that means there is some karma that is coming back. There is no point in worrying about it. Better take it and say, I'm paying off my sin. Secondly, somewhere in 2014 or so, some guy met me. He said, hey, if you invest money with us, you will get triple the money in 1 year. We are going with a business and that business is going to fetch a lot. You will be a shareholder in it. At that point I said, hey, I'm trying to get rid of my money. I wanted to give it back to society. I don't want to earn more money. Then he said, oh, you can give back more to the society. And then he tricked me into that. Yeah, I thought, yeah, if I have some money, if it can be tripled in a year, maybe I can give back to the society triple. Fine. And at that time I met with an accident. The banker came home so that I could get my line of credit. I sent $250,000. And after that, not a single penny was returned. 7 years. I've never ever said anything to anyone. I'm still friends with that person. I still talk to them, but I never say anything bad to them because I always think that if it is my money, it will come in one form or the other. Or if I have fraudulently taken that money from them in the previous incarnation, now I am paying it back through the interest, including the interest. What is the point in blaming anyone? That's how I have taken these principles from Ramayana. And people ask me, how come you are so happy always? I say, this is the thinking I have. I don't blame anyone. I'm not worried. If I have a pain, I immediately think that, okay, some sin is going off. So that's what Rama has explained to Vali. Vali is satisfied. So,
One thing I wanted to say is that we're not saying that just wantonly invest in things or wantonly
Yes.
spend money, thinking that, and then if you lose it, be fine. No, you do your best to make sure you do everything smart. But then when it's out of your control, when things are out of your control,
yes. I'm not saying that you should be careless because of this attitude. It's not careless attitude. It is you do all due diligence, and if still things go wrong, then accept it. Don't blame anyone. Fine. So, Sugriva wanted Vali to be killed. Rama killed Vali. Rama knows he is right. Vali has been answered. So now Vali is also satisfied that he got his punishment. Now let's look at the rest of the team there. Tara was coming with Angada. She heard Vali was killed. She was taking Angada and coming to that Vali's place. All the followers of Vali, they were running away from the kingdom. So she says, no, you guys cannot run. Come. Why is that? She should be worried about the husband dying. And she was looking at the followers who were running away and she was saying, no, you cannot run. Come. Right away at that moment, as a mother, she started thinking about her son's future. One way, she's worried that her husband is being killed. Immediately, her next thought process is, how can I safeguard my kid? Sugriva may kill this guy also. If Vali's followers are all running away, who can I go with? Who can I depend on? I'm not going to fight with Sugriva right away there. So, multitasking already. She started thinking in the broad manner. What next? What we have to learn is also when we are in difficult situations, we should not just be focused on that loss alone. Instead, we have to look at the repercussions of that loss and see how can we curtail the loss. That's called the sunken cost or sunken investment. So you have invested something and you are losing it. By worrying about that, you are losing something more also. Instead, you have to reduce your loss. And for that, you start taking the measures right then and there itself. So Tara started doing that. Why followers were running away? They were always with Vali, but all of a sudden when Vali was killed, they were running away. Which means they were opportunists. When Vali was there, they know Vali can protect them. So they were with him. Is that not what we do? When there is a powerful person, we follow that powerful person. All of a sudden, if something happens to that powerful person, his opponent, we are afraid of that other opponent because now this boss is not there. So that opponent will take revenge on us. From very important position, we go to no one. That's why they were not even worried. They were not even taking care of Vali. They were not even going to Vali and then say goodbye. the last goodbyes. Because if we go there, Sugriva is there. Now Sugriva is going to be the king, and we have never respected him when Vali was there. Now he is going to take the grudge. Again, judgmental. They were not even trying to help Angada. They are not even trying to help Tara. That's the human nature. Though they are not human beings, they are monkeys. But still, if we look at it from our point of view also, when we were following someone, some boss or someone important, and that guy is gone, first we look at our own safeguard instead of repaying all the favors that person has done to us. Standing by the family to give them that we are here, whatever happens. Lot of people don't do that. And then they said, Tara, there is no point in staying here. Take Angada, run away from here. But is that what Tara wants? Tara wants her son to be the king, next king. If she takes Angada and runs away, Sugriva is establishing his kingdom, and Angada can never become a king. So she has to stay here. She has to make sure that Angada is safe. And she has to make sure Angada will be the king. How many things were going on in her mind? So she pulled all those guys, said, come, let's all go to the place. Then she went there. She looked at Vali. She started crying. What such a warrior you are. You were living in such comforts, and you are lying on the floor right now. How the fate has punished you. I told you when you were throwing Sugriva away, I said, no, keep him with you. He's your younger brother. Keep with you. That time also she was very political. She knows Sugriva is as strong, as good warrior as Vali, but Vali has that the golden chain given to him by the god. So he is more powerful than Sugriva. Else Sugriva is also equally stronger. So if he goes out, you are creating an enemy. You better keep that person with you. I told you to keep Sugriva with you. You have not heard. And you let him go, and he now made friendship with a person who can kill you. If he was with you, he could not have met Rama. You would not have died. Right? So what does that mean? She's inherently saying that when you think someone can harm you, better you keep that person under your control. Don't let the person go out. Don't let the person go out who knows your secrets. So she's telling you how to keep the relationship. Even though you do not like a relationship, how to maintain that relationship. And then she said, before going for this fight, I told you don't go. I told you Rama is there. There is something happening. But you have not listened to me. Indirectly, she was pointing at Rama too. And she said, and she is telling him, I know that you are doing something against my husband. And I did tell him. But you did not care for me. And she started saying how good warrior he was, how many people he has killed, how good he was, how he was living such a comfortable life. That means she's telling Sugriva also that your brother was so good. And what kind of person you are, you made him this way. She's pushing him into the guilt. Right? She's creating that environment where people should start feeling for Angada and should start thinking that Sugriva is on the wrong side. and should also think that how great Vali was and how Rama killed him from the back. And she was trying to push everyone into that guilt. When really she worked it so well, Sugriva was right away into guilt. And also, Tara said, "You never intended to kill Sugriva. You fought with him so many times. You told me that other day also. I said, no, don't fight. He's after all your brother. Why don't you get him?" You said, no, I never intend to kill him. I will just punish him and then send him away. I will not kill him." Now, what happened? Sugriva told Rama that Vali was ready to kill, and I am hiding on this hill where Vali cannot enter. If Vali enters here, he will kill me. So Rama said, "I will kill Vali to safeguard you." Now Tara is proving that Sugriva was wrong. So how the political scenario is moving around. Now everyone around there would be thinking, man, it was not right to kill Vali. Angada should be made the king, or Angada should get his fair value. Go back to what Rama said. Rama never said that you punished Sugriva, that's why I killed you. He said the sin that you have done is you have enjoyed your younger brother's wife when he was alive. That's why I killed you. Can anyone dispute that? Whatever may be this entire political scenario going on around, still he was right. At this point, Sugriva went into his guilt. He started crying. He said, "We were so close to each other until he went to kill Dunduvi. And at that time, for 1 year, he has not come out of that cave. So I thought he was dead. So I wanted to safeguard the kingdom. I closed that place. I came to the kingdom, and when the ministers asked me multiple times, then I had to tell them that Vali was killed. And then they said, they forced me to become a king." Even then when Vali came back, he did not listen to me. Look at that. When we are in power, we will not ask for explanation. Vali, when he was killed, he asked for explanation from Rama. But when he came back from the war, and Sugriva was made king, thinking that Vali was dead, Vali did not give a chance to Sugriva to explain his situation. Even when Sugriva was explaining, he said, "No, you are a fraud. I am going to punish you." He threw him out of the kingdom. We have to learn that too. When we have power, whether as a parent, as an elder brother, as some powerful person, as a manager, whatever it is, when we have the power, we should be more responsible to ask for the explanation from the other person and understand the situation from the other person to say, was that person right or wrong? So Vali did not do that when he was having the power. And when he lost all his power, he asked explanation from Rama. So Sugriva said, "We were so close brothers, and that incident, he had thrown me out with that one misunderstanding. Rama, I am telling you, he never intended to kill me. Even the first time when I came, after you told me to go and fight with him, I went. At that time also, when he beat me to pulp, then he said, Sugriva, I don't want to kill you. Go, live somewhere. Don't challenge me. If you challenge me, I'm going to beat you." So, my elder brother never wanted to kill me, but I wanted him to be killed. And I'm not able to kill him, so I took your help. And I told you that he will be killing me. I'm guilty of that. So I don't want. When I lost my beloved brother, I don't want this kingdom. I don't want anything. So, when we are angry, we will have so many grudges against people. That's momentary. But when that grudge leaves permanent scar, that's when we start thinking that why did I do this? Right? Instead of going into guilt later, why don't we be more stable at the time of the situation itself? But no, our emotions take over us. Our emotions push us to do the mistakes, and later on we are worried about it. So now Sugriva is also saying, I wanted him to be killed, and I made the setup in such a way he is killed. But now I know what I lost. I lost my elder brother, who was loving me and who never wanted to kill me. He was punishing me because he thought that I made a mistake, so he was punishing me. So Rama, I don't want this kingdom. That's one portion of it. Now let's bring the political scenario here. Sugriva knows, this is again, my interpretation may be wrong, my interpretation may be different from what Valmiki is writing, but in the current scenario, my interpretation is like this. One, Sugriva went into guilt. He all of a sudden realized how he lost his brother, how he made all of that to happen. That one piece of it. On the other side, he is going to be the next king. Tara is changing the entire political scenario towards Angada. What if everyone says Angada should be the king? Sugriva should not be, because he caused the death of Vali. What happens to all the things that he has done so far? What happens to that entire the punishment that he had? He had to change that scenario. How can he change that scenario? By saying that, oh, he's my beloved brother. I'm at mistake. I did this wrong. I don't want anything anymore. I also want to die like Vali. Then immediately people will come in and say, no, Sugriva, please don't think like that. So he gets that sympathy. If a kid makes a mistake and he does not accept it, he gets more punishment. But if he comes directly to you and then say, oh, I did this mistake, please, I'm so worried about it, I'm very guilty of it, please punish me, then the parent will not punish. Sugriva is behaving the same way. He said, no, Rama, punish me. The way you killed him, you kill me also. I want to die. I don't want this kingdom at all. Let Angada be the king. Tara on one side, a big politician. Sugriva on the other side, another politician. Now they are fighting for the kingdom. But it does not look like that. Right? It looks as if they're all worried. They're all crying for Vali's death. But behind the scenes, it's not that case. Who has to come into picture now? Now, Tara understood the things are moving away. Sugriva is taking the center stage now. Immediately she said, Vali, when you are not there, I am also not going to be there. I will die with you. I'll fire myself along with your this thing, your dead body. I'm also going to die because I cannot live. If I were loving you so much, the moment I heard that you were dead, I should also die. What kind of a heart do I have? So this is not it. I'm going to die with you. Again, the sympathy has fallen on to Tara. The control is going away from Sugriva. That's when who has to come into picture? The well-wisher comes into the picture. Here, who is the best well-wisher of Sugriva? Hanuma. Hanuma comes to Tara and says, Tara, please do not think like that. If you die, who will take care of Angada? You should not die. You should be there. You should help Sugriva to run the kingdom. He is establishing now that Sugriva is the king, is going to be the king. And he says, you have to be behind Sugriva to run his kingdom too. He's giving her that importance. And secondly, he's saying that Angada will be the next king after he will be thrown after Sugriva. So Sugriva is going to give him that Yuva Raja, the prince. What is a throne? Prince, right?
Yeah,
not the
prince.
king. Yeah. So the next supposed to be
line.
king. Next in line is the prince. So he says Sugriva is going to make Angada a prince, and he needs your support. You need to guide him the way you were guiding Vali. He is now assuring good life of these two, and he is also establishing that Sugriva will be the king, and Angada should not be worried. He will be the prince, and because he is young, he cannot lose both parents. So Tara, you should stay. If Tara dies, all Vali's supporters will be totally against Sugriva, and he cannot run the country like that. So he had to get all of them together. If Tara is with Sugriva, the entire Vali's supporters will be with Sugriva. They have no other option. Look at how everyone in that scenario has to play the role. If we are in that situation, how can we remove the fire? How can we reduce the fire? How can we extinguish the fire in a particular situation? Hanuma's behavior tells us. And then Hanuma says, the Tara tells Hanuma, she's still establishing it even further. She says, no, I don't need to be there at all, because Sugriva is his uncle. He has more responsibility on Angada than me. Is it true? Mother loves the son the most, and she is saying that he is no more my responsibility. He is Sugriva's responsibility. So I can die. That means she is saying, Sugriva, you cannot harm this guy. You harmed your brother, but you cannot harm Angada. Angada is also as strong as Vali. So you should not look at as an enemy, rather than you have to keep him as your prince. So many untold emotions are going here. Then immediately Sugriva, until then he was saying, I will die, right? And now everyone wanted to die. Tara wanted to die. Sugriva wanted to die to get the sympathy. Now Sugriva knows it's all in my control now. Hanuma has taken care of it. Then he says, yeah, Angada will be the prince. Tara, how can you leave us? I need your support. I cannot run this kingdom without you. Tara got what she wanted. Angada is the prince. Sugriva got what he wanted. He is the king. And he wanted the support of all Vali's supporters. So he turned Tara to himself. At this point, still Vali is there. He is not totally dead. Right? So Vali is thinking, oh, okay, now they are having the next course of action. Then he takes that gold chain. He knows, even before that itself, he said, Sugriva becoming king is the righteous thing. So he has already accepted that Sugriva is going to be the king. But Sugriva was in doubt. After Vali, will his supporters agree? After Vali, will Tara support his decision? after this entire thing has been established and then everyone agreed that Sugriva will be the king, then Vali has taken out that gold chain from his neck and he said, this will lose its power if I die. So before I die, Sugriva, you wear it. He gave it to Sugriva. Vali should have given it to his son, right? When he knows that this gold chain makes a person always a winner, he should have given it to his kid. He didn't do that because he loved his brother so much. He never uttered Angada should be the king, or he never told his supporters that, hey, support Angada, fight with Sugriva. He didn't say that. Instead, he gave that gold chain to Sugriva and then said, wear it, be winner always, but please take care of my son. When we have quarrel within the family, we have to amicably settle it. We should not be throwing fuel into the fire. That's what Vali has done here. If he had given that golden chain to Angada, internally Angada and Sugriva will be fighting. Angada will be more confident now because he has this gold ring. He may disobey Sugriva and then internal fights will start. The next generation fighting will also be there. Instead, by giving it to Sugriva, one, he loves Sugriva, his younger brother. Two, he's making a political decision there that Sugriva will support Angada going forward, thinking that his elder brother loved him so much. He gave, and then he talks to Angada. Angada says, Vali says, Angada, after me, Sugriva is like me. He is your father. You respect him as you were respecting me. Again, he is establishing that there is no internal quarrel, internal bad feelings. Then he said, you were doing some mischievous things when I am there, and I was letting you go because you are my son. That would not work with Sugriva. So don't behave like that. Be obedient with him. That means he is warning him also that though I said he is like me, he is your father going forward, still don't believe 100%. He is not going to give you all the comforts that I have given you. But don't complain. Whatever he gives, you take it. What kind of a wisdom is that, right? On the deathbed, he is thinking so straight and making sure that the future is perfect for his family and his entire, including Sugriva, everything. He is making sure that this quarrel is not going forward beyond generations. Nowadays, the grudge goes beyond generations. I was talking about the grudge taking beyond incarnation by the individual. But here families are taking the grudge forward. Vali made sure that that does not happen. He made an amicable settlement between Sugriva and Angada. And then he died. Immediately, Tara was crying, rest of the wives were also crying, and they were all saying that we have no one around to take care of us. And then Rama walked in front of Tara. Tara was thinking of accusing Rama. The moment she saw Rama, in the book it says she saw the divinity in him, and so she realized he is God, and she could not, because of the power of Rama, she could not accuse him. But to me, I don't think so. At that time, Rama was behaving like a human being. He never said he is divine. He never said he is God. So how can suddenly she sees God in him? Instead, I think that if this person can kill Vali, This person can kill anyone. I need him by me, by my side. If I blame him now, he'll be my enemy, which means he will not support Angada going forward. If Sugriva does something to Angada, Rama will be in a position to take care of Angada. So now is not the time for burning the bridges. So immediately she controlled herself and said, Rama, you are the best person. You have the best qualities. Oh, I know you killed my husband, but what can I do? You must have done the right thing only. So, what does that mean? We have to live in the reality. If we know that we do not have enough ammunition, enough fighting power, we should not go on fighting. What happened to Iraq war? Does Saddam Hussein not know that US has got more power, more ammunition and all? But still, he was saying, no, I will fight with you, I will fight with you. Instead, if he had understood and made that amicable settlement, fine, I made a mistake by going on a war with Kuwait, I've retracted, now let's get back to whatever we want to and let's have some amicable settlement. Instead of that, he was fighting. Whereas here, Tara right away understood her vulnerabilities. And she knows the power of Rama. She said right away, I have to have this person on my side to make sure that Angada's future is good. So, she did not say anything. Whereas Wali was not as wise as Tara. And right from the beginning we knew it. Tara was always advising him in the right direction. But Wali was going with his overconfidence. So Wali questioned Rama. Of course, at that point we were saying that we should question, if we have any doubts, we should question before judging. Wali was judging there. Here, Tara judged, but at the same time she controlled herself and then made a good friendship with Rama. At that point, Rama tells Tara again that you are a great person, great lady, very wise lady, and you have been with Wali all along. And now you need to be with Sugriva, support him. And so Angada will be the son. Angada will be the prince. Even Wali also asks Rama. He does not ask Sugriva to make him the prince. He tells Rama, Rama, I have only one son. And he was my beloved one. Now, if I go, he may not eat, he may not be living, he may not be happy and all. I want you to promise me that you will take care of him. Look at it. They knew it is not Sugriva, it's not natural there. Someone has to be powerful over Sugriva to keep him under check. And they know it is Rama. So Wali also asked Rama to take care of Angada. Now Tara is also asking Rama to take care of Angada. So in our life, we will have to understand where the power is, who the right person to ask for. How are we doing on the time?
We're 15 minutes.
14 minutes, yeah. Okay, good. So we have to make sure that we are making right judgment calls. We are not carrying forward any grudges. And also we have to minimize the loss as much as possible. There is no point in going all out war when we know that we are going to lose everything. With this, Rama now says we have to take care of the next situation. Right? What next? Wali died. Sugriva has been established as the next king. Angada is also established as next prince. Tara will be supporting Sugriva. All Wali's supporters will still stay in the country and they will be supporting Sugriva. And then anyway, Sugriva's personal staff is also there. Jambavanta, Hanuma and all of those people, they will be taken care of. Sugriva. So if now everything has been taken care of, what next? They have to perform the final rites of Vali. And then no, I was reading something. So
Yeah.
I was looking at the comment.
No, that's fine. That
Okay.
was a.
Okay. So then he calls Lakshmana and says, Lakshmana, go ahead, arrange for the final rites. Tell Sugriva. Now, Sugriva is also in distress, whether it is political act or really is worried about his brother's death or whatever it is, he's crying there. So he goes to Sugriva and he pacifies him. So wherever Rama has to involve himself, he was involving. And where is not needed, he was delegating. So we need to know how to delegate our responsibilities to someone. So he called Lakshmana and said, Lakshmana, we have to perform the final rites of Vali. So go ahead, talk to them, arrange all these things. So he told Lakshmana. Now Lakshmana goes out and calls other people there, Sushena and other people, and then says, go, we would go get the best weight, the best chariot to carry this dead body, and make sure that that chariot is as powerful to carry Vali, his most powerful person. I mean, even though he's dead, his body has to be taken care of. And he says, get people who can carry him. And at that time, immediately Sugriva gets up and he says, you know what? My brother is the best one. He has to go with his final rites should be very grandiose. One way, he is the cause for the kill. And on the other side, he is trying to win the hearts of others, all Vali supporters. That's why he's saying this should be the best event. This should be the best farewell to my brother. Do whatever you have to do. And whatever it takes, it should be very grandiose. Making the situation work for yourself. I'm not trying to picture Sugriva as bad or Tara as bad. It is the human nature. People want to take advantage of the situation, and fine, there is nothing harm in it. No harm in it, as long as it is legal and ethical. So they made very, very good arrangements, and Vali was taken. At that time, there is huge narration of what all the things they have brought. And then in Hinduism, we burn the dead body. The thinking is that this body is made of all the 5 main elements: air. So we call it as Panchabhutas. So the 5 important elements this body is made of. And so this body has to be returned to those 5 elements. So that's why the body is put on fire. And the ashes are put into the water. That's how this body is returned to the place where it belongs to. And why should the final rites to be so grandiose? This body, which was called as Murti, was carrying the soul for so long. Why we have to give that respect to that body. People who never respected a person when alive will respect the dead body. Because now the soul is anyway gone. The soul is what they were hating. This body has nothing to do with it. This body was just carrying the soul. It was a vehicle. So, why punish the vehicle? And at least give that vehicle the respect for carrying this soul for so long and bid farewell in a genuine manner. I remember, there are so many things that have happened in my life that really taught me so many things. Even from the younger ones, you think, right? My wife had her parents in India, so she used to go to India every year, spend time with them, and come back. So one day I said, in the event of their death, even if you could not go there, you don't need to have any regrets, because you have been spending time with them when they were there in good health. So we don't need to have guilt if by any chance you cannot make it to the final rites. Immediately she said one thing: you may get guests, they live with you for 1 month, but when they are leaving, we go to the airport, we drop them at the airport, and we stay there until the flight takes off, and we will be waving to the flight. Even though we know that those guys cannot see us, still we do it because it is our satisfaction that we are seeing off. When a 1 month old guest is leaving, we have so much emotions, and we want, if those guys are going in a train, we will be watching that train until the train leaves the platform, and we will be waving the hands. We know no one sees, because everyone on the platform is also waving, everyone in the train is also waving. We do not know who is waving for whom, but it is our own satisfaction. So even if I am still there with them until yesterday, and if something happens to them today, I want to go back to India and see them. Such a great logic, yes. So that is the importance of anyone's final rites. On the other hand, I know people who went to India thinking that the father was ill, and father recovered. That guy came back, and while coming back, he told my mother that, you guys have said he's serious, that's why I ran here, I came here, nothing happened to him. What was he saying? Was he saying that his father was not dead because he's here, and his travel was a waste because his father was not dead? And 15 days later, he passed away. I asked that person, are you going? He said, no, I just went, right? I don't need to go. I asked my brother to complete the final rites. Who has more wisdom? He may be very much educated, maybe at a higher level. I don't care. But I respect my wife for giving me that knowledge, that final rites are always final rites. And we have to be there, irrespective of whatever conditions we are living in. So, all those who are listening to me, I say we have to respect our relationships so much. We have to make sure that even if we are not here, our grudges are not carried away. And also, give an opportunity for the other person to give explanation. And do not forget, when you are in power, you will not give opportunity for the other person to explain. But when you lose your power, then you will seek for the explanations. And also make sure that you are surrounded by more wise people than you are, rather than staying with people who are lesser wiser to you, because you are not learning anything. It is more gratifying to stay with people, or satisfying with people who are seeking from us, but we are not progressing. With this, I believe we can conclude this week's session, and any feedback is highly appreciated. And if I've made any mistake, if I've hurt anyone's feelings, I'm extremely sorry because this is such a serious topic. Letting someone go from this world is a serious topic, and no one wants to talk about it. Whereas we have to understand that no one is permanent here. And when they are with us, let's enjoy every moment. When they leave, let's say, okay, rest in peace. We had our fun here. You go have your fun somewhere else. Let us suppose there are 100 inmates in a jail. They were all having very good relationship. They loved each other and all. And one day, one person was sent, his sentence was over, he was going out of the jail. Should the rest of 99 inmates cry for him? Instead, they will be happy that this guy is getting away from this prison to the outside world. Death is also like that. This entire world, if we think that we are all living in a jail, combined with so many responsibilities and the relationships, yes, we enjoyed together all of that, but when that person, that soul is leaving this life, that means that soul is going to a different world. Let's wish best of luck to that soul. When you think it that way, the agony will go down and you will come to the real life terms. And then otherwise, always the people, I know a lot of people who got settled in this place, they say, I'm worried about my parents. They are alone there. They are old. Fine, go there. If you are so much worried about them, go there. Don't be worried here. Or make an adjustment saying that fine, we made a decision that they will be there. I am here for my prosperity. That's okay. But don't be here and start showing up that, oh, I care for my parents, I'm sending money to them. Either you care them physically or don't act. And if someone leaves, again, gracefully send that person, send that soul to the next world. With that, thank you so much. Enjoy your rest of the time, and let's meet next week.